Ladies and gentlemen, champions in the making, listen to me every single morning before the world tries to define you, before distractions derail you, before doubts disqualify you. You must define who you are. You must set your atmosphere. You must declare your day, because life does not respond to passivity. It responds to intentionality. So here are 12 things you must tell yourself every morning if you're serious about stepping into your God-given greatness. Purpose precedes performance. Before you act, before you build, before you conquer anything in the external world, you must first acknowledge why you exist. Purpose is the internal compass that gives direction to your daily activity. Without purpose, performance becomes shallow, random, and easily swayed by circumstances. But when you are locked into your purpose, your actions take on precision. You're no longer busy, you're effective. You're no longer reacting, you're responding with intention. Purpose is not something you manufacture. It's something you discover. You were born with it. There is something unique, something specific, something divine about the reason you are here. That reason existed before you ever had a resume. Before the accolades, before the mistakes, before the doubts, you were already infused with purpose. That's why no amount of money, no title, no applause will ever fill the void that only purpose can satisfy. Purpose doesn't come from performance. Performance flows from purpose. The tragedy is, too many people wake up every day asking, "What should I do today?" instead of asking, "Why am I here in the first place?" If you don't answer that question, you'll drift. And when you drift, you allow circumstances and people to define your value. You end up living by default instead of by design. But when you're grounded in purpose, you don't just show up. You show up with conviction. You don't just participate. You lead. You don't just endure the day, you shape it. Purpose clarifies. When you know your purpose, decisions get easier. You stop chasing every opportunity and start discerning the right ones. You no longer say yes to things that only keep you busy. You start saying yes to things that keep you aligned. It doesn't mean the work gets easier, but it does mean your effort becomes meaningful. You stop burning energy on things that don't matter and start investing your energy where it counts. That's the difference between hustle and legacy. Hustle is what you do when you're trying to prove something. Legacy is what you build when you're living from purpose. People who understand their purpose don't need to be pushed, they're pulled. There's an internal drive that refuses to quit, even when the external results haven't caught up yet. That's the power of alignment. When your purpose is clear, your persistence increases. You're not working for applause, you're working from assignment. That changes everything. You can endure seasons of silence. You can keep going through disappointments. You can build when no one's watching, because you're not building for visibility. You're building for vision. Purpose also protects. It keeps you from getting caught up in comparison. You don't need someone else's path when you're confident in your own. You're not intimidated by their success. You're inspired by it because you know your lane. And when you stay in your lane, there is no competition. Purpose eliminates envy because you're no longer trying to be someone else. You're fully engaged in becoming the person you were born to be. That clarity brings peace, and that peace brings power. This is why purpose must precede performance. If you flip that order, you'll always be chasing, striving, performing for approval that was never meant to define you. But when you lead with purpose, performance becomes an expression of identity, not a search for it. You're not working to become someone, you're working because you already are someone. That shift is everything. It changes how you walk, how you talk, how you decide, and how you persist. You stop reacting to life and start commanding it. Success begins with self-declaration. Before anyone believes in you, before any result shows up, before any breakthrough happens, you must speak it. You must claim success with your mouth before you manifest it with your hands. Most people are waiting for evidence to declare success, but the truth is, declaration is the evidence of belief. When you declare success, you're not describing your current situation. You're dictating your future. You are giving instructions to your mind, your body, your habits, and your atmosphere. Declaration isn't hype. It's not pretending. It's permission. It's telling yourself who you really are before the world tries to convince you otherwise. It's not arrogance. It's alignment. You're aligning your language with your purpose. You're speaking truth over fear. You're speaking identity over insecurity. What you declare in the morning determines how you move through the day. If you speak defeat, you'll expect resistance. But if you speak success, you'll expect opportunity, even in the middle of obstacles. Too many people are silent about their success because they've been conditioned to think that confidence is pride. But silence is not humility. Silence is often permission for doubt to grow. If you don't tell yourself who you are, the world will fill in the blank. And the world doesn't know the blueprint you carry. You can't outsource your identity. That's your job. It's your responsibility to speak life into your destiny. The voice you hear the most is your own. So your own words matter more than anyone else's opinion. When you declare success, you start to behave differently. You sit up straighter. You walk with more purpose. You make sharper decisions. That's not magic, that's mindset. Declaration activates discipline. Once you say you're successful, you start acting like it. You begin protecting your time, investing in your growth, guarding your energy, and distancing yourself from distractions. You become accountable to your words. That's how change begins. Not with motivation, but with identity. Not with feelings, but with focus. Success doesn't start with a bank account, a title, or a result. It starts with language. Your words are seeds. When you declare who you are, you plant a seed that will show up in your work ethic, your resilience, and your strategy. But if you never speak it, don't be surprised when you never see it. You can't harvest what you're afraid to plant. You don't have to know how it's going to happen yet. Your job is to declare that it's going to happen. The how gets revealed to those who speak the what with conviction. There's a reason champions talk differently. They don't let their circumstances dictate their language. They let their language shift their circumstances. They speak from vision, not from their current position. They don't deny the challenges, but they refuse to let the challenges define them. They speak success not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Because they know that speaking it is often what gives them the strength to pursue it. You can't wait until everything lines up to start speaking with authority. You've got to speak with authority to bring things into alignment. Don't let fear silence your declaration. Don't let past failures muzzle your belief. You might not have all the results yet, but you've got the right to declare success now. Because success doesn't begin when you arrive. It begins when you decide. When you speak success, you train your brain to look for it. You attract what you expect, and you expect what you declare. Success begins in the mirror. It begins when you look at yourself and say, I am built for this. It begins when you wake up and say, today, I create progress, not someday, not when everything's perfect. Right now, in this moment, through your words, your tone, your posture, your belief. That's how winners start their day, not waiting to see what happens, but deciding what will happen through the power of self-declaration. Faith over feelings. That's the mindset of champions. Feelings are real, but they are not reliable. They fluctuate. They rise and fall based on your environment, your sleep, your circumstances, and even the weather. But faith is steady. Faith is rooted. Faith stands when feelings want to quit. If you live your life based on how you feel, you will be inconsistent, unstable, and ineffective. But when you choose faith, you choose to anchor your decisions, your habits, and your vision in something deeper than emotion. There are days you won't feel strong, but you can still walk in strength. There are days you won't feel qualified, but you can still show up with excellence. Faith is not a denial of reality. It's a declaration that your reality is not final. It's choosing to believe in what is possible, even when what's visible looks like a contradiction. Faith says, I know what I see, but I also know what I've been promised. Faith operates from conviction, not comfort. You don't build a legacy on feelings, you build it on discipline, and discipline is the fruit of faith. You can't be led by your mood will lie to you. Your mood will tell you to quit, to play small, to sit down. But faith tells you to keep going, to speak life, to stand tall, even when there's no applause, even when the door didn't open, even when you feel like nothing is working. The test isn't how you perform when you're inspired. The test is how you show up when you're tired, frustrated, or unseen. That's where faith speaks louder than feeling. Faith is a decision. It's waking up and choosing your actions before your emotions try to choose for you. It's saying, I will be consistent in my commitment, even if I don't feel the motivation right now. That's the difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs wait for the feeling. Professionals operate by principle. They've made the decision already, and their feelings are not up for negotiation. Faith gives you the endurance to outlast the valleys and rise to meet the mountaintops. When you're led by faith, you become dangerous to mediocrity. You no longer need permission to move. You no longer need comfort to commit. You no longer wait for ideal conditions to take action. Faith acts even when the outcome is uncertain. Faith moves in the face of fear. It doesn't mean you don't feel afraid. It means you don't obey fear. There's a boldness that comes with faith, not because you're relying on your own strength, but because you're relying on a power greater than your emotions. People who live by feelings look for signs before they act. People who live by faith act, and then the signs follow. That's why the gap between where you are and where you want to be is often filled with uncomfortable steps. Faith doesn't eliminate the struggle, it gives you the strength to go through the struggle. You may not feel confident when you start, but faith says, start anyway. You may not see progress right away, but faith says, keep showing up. Feelings might say you're not enough. Faith says you're already equipped. Feelings might say you should stop. Faith says this is only the beginning. You get to choose which voice leads you, the voice of emotion or the voice of conviction, the voice of fear or the voice of faith, the voice that tells you to play it safe or the voice that dares you to believe bigger. Faith isn't loud, but it's powerful. It doesn't need to shout to be heard. It speaks in your decisions, your persistence, and your unwavering resolve to keep going when everything says you shouldn't. Faith is the fuel for forward motion. It's what carries you when momentum hasn't shown up yet. It's what lifts you when results haven't caught up yet. It's not about what you feel in the moment. It's about what you believe in your spirit. Because if you believe it, you'll keep working toward it, praying over it, investing in it, showing up for it, even when your feelings are screaming for you to turn back. I am not chasing money. I'm creating value. That single mindset shift changes everything. Money is not the goal, it's the result. When you chase money, you start operating out of desperation. You begin compromising standards. You say yes to opportunities that drain you. You work for validation instead of transformation. But when you focus on creating value, you build something that attracts resources. You solve problems, you meet needs, you become essential, not replaceable. People don't pay for time, they pay for outcomes, solutions, and transformation. Chasing money puts you in the wrong posture. It makes you reactive instead of proactive. You move from opportunity to opportunity, hoping something finally works, instead of refining your skill, deepening your expertise, and becoming excellent at what you do. But when you operate with a mindset of value creation, you approach your work with purpose. You're not just working to earn, you're working to impact. And impact always produces income in the long run. When you create value, you don't have to beg for attention. You attract it. The marketplace responds to value. It doesn't respond to hustle with no direction. It doesn't respond to noise with no clarity. You don't have to be loud to win. You have to be valuable. What you bring to the table should change the conversation. And when people know they can't get what you offer anywhere else, they won't argue over your price. They'll pay for the result because they can see the return. Money is a byproduct of mastery. If you focus on money, you may get short-term wins but long-term exhaustion. If you focus on mastery, on becoming the best, most helpful, most consistent version of yourself, you'll build something sustainable. You'll build trust, and trust is the currency of business. Value creation is rooted in excellence. It means showing up with integrity. It means delivering more than what's expected. It means thinking about how to solve the client's next problem before they even know they have it. When you stop chasing money and start creating value, your relationship with work changes. You stop clocking in for a paycheck and start building something that matters. You realize that money flows to those who flow in purpose, and purpose always produces value, not just value in terms of money, but value in terms of impact. You start measuring success not just by what you gain, but by what you give, by how much better people's lives are because they encountered what you created. Chasing money makes you a consumer. Creating value makes you a producer. Consumers need resources to survive. Producers create resources that serve others. The moment you decide to be a producer, you stop waiting and start building. You stop blaming the economy, your background, or your industry, and you start becoming a solution. The marketplace doesn't owe you success, but it will always reward value, and value is something you have full control over every single day. This mindset also protects your peace. When you're creating value, you're building from inspiration, not obligation. You're not reacting to what's hot or trending. You're focused on solving real problems. You become strategic. You invest time, not waste it. You stay consistent because you understand that every piece of value you create is a seed. And those seeds will always produce a harvest. Maybe not overnight, but always in time. Money is temporary, but value is timeless. The impact you create in someone's life, the solution you provide, the excellence you bring that lasts. That spreads, that opens doors you didn't have to knock on. Because when you're valuable, you become visible. You become trusted, and when people trust you, they invest in you. They follow your lead, they share your name. They return again and again, not because you marketed the loudest, but because you served the deepest. Creating value is not just about business, it's about identity. It's about choosing to build something that multiplies beyond you. It's about focusing on contribution over consumption, because the most powerful, fulfilled, and wealthy people are not those who chased money. They're the ones who became valuable. Delay is not denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't happen. Timing is not rejection. Timing is refinement. There is a process between the seed and the harvest, and that process always includes waiting. What you're waiting for is not always being withheld, it's being prepared, and while you're waiting, you're not being punished, you're being developed. The delay is not there to discourage you, it's there to strengthen you so that when the opportunity comes, you're ready to sustain it. Most people interpret delay as a sign to quit. They assume that if it takes too long, it must not be meant to be. But the truth is, anything worth having is going to take time. Maturity takes time. Mastery takes time. Strength takes time. And if you short-cut the process, you'll sabotage the outcome. Some doors aren't opening because you're not ready yet, and some doors aren't opening because the door itself is still being built. Trust that the wait has a purpose. Delay tests your belief. It stretches your patience. It asks you if you're really committed to what you say you want. Anyone can get excited at the beginning, but can you still move forward when the pace slows down? Can you still prepare in silence? Can you still believe when the evidence is invisible? That's where most people stop. But those who understand that delay is part of destiny, they keep going. They build when no one's watching. They rehearse when no stage is set. They invest even when there's no immediate return. If you understood what was being developed in the delay, you would stop trying to rush it. You would lean in. You would train harder. You would sharpen your skills. Because when the moment finally comes, it won't be time to get ready. It will be time to move. Delay gives you that edge. It gives you the advantage of preparation. It separates the committed from the casual, the faithful from the fearful. It's not about waiting and doing nothing. It's about waiting while becoming. Sometimes delay is protection. Sometimes what you thought you were ready for would have crushed you. Sometimes what looked like an opportunity was actually a distraction dressed up as progress. When things don't move at your speed, that doesn't mean they're off track. It just means there's more behind the scenes than you understand right now. And if you could see what's ahead, you'd be grateful that it didn't happen sooner. Delay also filters your circle. It shows you who's really with you. People love to cheer when things are happening fast, but it's in the seasons of delay that loyalty is revealed. Delay teaches you not to depend on applause. It teaches you to encourage yourself, to lead yourself, to find your identity outside of speed and performance, because when everything slows down, what's inside you gets louder. Your doubts, your fears, your insecurities, but also your vision, your convictions, your calling. Delay makes you listen. And in that listening, you grow. You don't need everything to move fast to believe it's moving forward. Some of the most powerful growth happens underground. Roots take time to spread. Foundations take time to pour. The taller the building, the deeper the foundation has to go. You want elevation, but elevation without foundation is collapse. The delay is building depth, so your future can carry weight, so your influence can last, so your name can be trusted. Delay is not the enemy, it's a teacher. It teaches resilience, patience, and long-term thinking. It teaches you how to keep showing up when it feels like nothing is changing. It teaches you how to focus on process instead of results, to fall in love with the work, not just the reward. And the people who master the delay are the ones who are still standing when others have walked away. What looks like a pause might be a setup. What feels like a detour might be divine alignment. You're not behind, you're in process. And the process is never wasted. Delay doesn't mean denial. It means destiny is still unfolding. Your words shape your world. Every time you speak, you are either building or breaking. You are either constructing your future or reinforcing your fears. Words are not just sound, they are signals. They tell your mind what to believe, your body how to respond, and your environment what to align with. If you want to change your world, you must start by changing your words. Nothing transforms externally until something shifts internally, and the fastest way to activate that shift is through intentional speech. Most people underestimate the power of what they say. They speak carelessly, emotionally, and habitually without realizing that their words are programming their reality. You can't speak defeat and expect victory. You can't declare lack and walk in abundance. You can't constantly complain and expect peace. The words you repeat are the beliefs you reinforce, and the beliefs you reinforce are the behaviors you embody. What comes out of your mouth is a reflection of what's rooted in your mindset. Your mouth is a creative weapon. It's either building momentum or magnifying problems. When you speak with clarity, boldness, and expectation, you start attracting what you affirm. You activate solutions. You energize your focus. You begin to notice opportunities that were already there but hidden behind mental clutter. Words give you the lens through which you see the world. If your language is negative, everything around you will feel heavier. If your language is intentional and empowered, even challenges become fuel for progress. This is why it's critical to speak on purpose, not just from pressure. Don't let your emotions dictate your declarations. You may feel frustrated, but don't speak failure. You may feel tired, but don't speak quitting. What you speak under pressure often shapes the direction of your decisions. Train your language to agree with your vision, not your situation. Let your words reflect where you're going, not just where you are. Even in private, your words are powerful. The conversations you have with yourself shape your confidence, your courage, and your creativity. If you're always telling yourself you're not good enough, smart enough, or ready enough, you will self-sabotage every opportunity that comes your way. But if you wake up every morning and declare truth over your life, truth about your capability, your vision, your value, you train your mind to rise to that standard. You program your subconscious to support your success instead of resisting it. Words also create culture. They influence how others see you, treat you, and respond to you. If you speak with certainty, others will respond with trust. If you speak with doubt, others will respond with hesitation. Your words send messages not only to yourself, but to everyone connected to your mission. Leaders understand that their language sets the tone. Parents, entrepreneurs, creatives, anyone building anything that matters must master their speech, because it becomes the soundtrack of everything they build. It's not about ignoring reality, it's about framing it. Speaking truth doesn't mean denying facts. It means choosing which facts get your focus. You can acknowledge what's hard and still speak what's possible. You can be honest about the obstacles and still declare your outcome. This is not pretending, it's positioning. It's putting your heart, your mind, and your energy in alignment with what you want to create. Words have momentum, they accumulate. One negative sentence rarely destroys a dream, but a lifestyle of negative talk creates a mental prison that's hard to escape. Likewise, one affirmation won't change your life overnight, but a lifestyle of intentional speech creates a mindset that is equipped to build, endure, and expand. What you say consistently becomes what you believe instinctively, and what you believe instinctively becomes how you live automatically. This is why you must protect your language like you protect your future. You must filter your speech the same way you filter your strategy. You don't need to talk like everyone else when you're building what no one else is building. Speak from vision, not emotion. Speak from clarity, not chaos. Speak from conviction, not comparison. Your world rises or falls based on the words you choose to release.